Guys, welcome to another video, and if you are new on my YouTube channel, please do hit the subscribe button and be part of the Natalie channel. So today I want to talk about a topic that is very dear to my heart. It's dear because I get to deal with the casualties that are coming from this topic, and it's something that we do not talk about in the Black community. I am going to gravitate towards Black simply because I'm Black. I understand our cultures, our ways, our language, and almost everything about being Black. But this video doesn't necessarily mean if you're not Black then you cannot relate with it. If you can relate, then thumbs up. Today I want to talk about how we as Black mothers or as Black women do not acknowledge emotional trauma. In fact, as Black people, because sometimes in the society we get inflicted or injured emotionally, and even the person that is injuring you does not recognize or does not acknowledge the fact that they have emotionally injured you. And we have normalized that so much to a point where even the victim who has been emotionally injured, they do not acknowledge their wounds. I've seen it, and we sometimes act like it's okay and it's normal. I've seen it in mothers where the baby daddy has emotionally injured the mother, and the mother acts like it's nothing, like it's okay, whatever, I'm just gonna get rid of that pig and that's okay. And what I have seen from that, whatever, I don't care about him anymore, let him move out. What I've seen about that attitude, not acknowledging that I've actually been emotionally injured by this particular person that I've trusted, by this particular person that has been close to me, by ignoring your wound, your emotional wound, you now become a weapon to the people that are around you. Who are the people that are around you? It can be your child. We sometimes project the side effects of being emotionally injured by someone to the people that are here, the people that we're supposed to be protecting. We've heard words such as we've heard words such as at that time, you know deep down in your heart, but you wish you did not have a child with that particular person. But again, this child is here and is expecting you to take care of her or protect her at all times. And sometimes we even hurt or bleed on top of our own kids or the people that are around us, not because we want to, not because we intentionally want to. And words cannot only be the one particular way you bleed towards the people that are around you. One of the ways that as mothers we do to show that we are bleeding from emotional injury, it's to prevent our kids from seeing their fathers. That is a one way of showing that you have been emotionally injured, you have been emotionally traumatized, and now you are bleeding, you need assistance. The fact that you are stopping your child from having a relationship with her father's side, or from having a relationship with her father or his father, that is a way of showing by you are dealing with something that you are not even dealing with. Because sometimes we tend to think that we are dealing with certain things, but the truth is that we are not dealing with them. I wish that as Black women, as the Black community, we could acknowledge emotional damage and acknowledge emotional traumas. Our parents, one thing I've realized, if you can sit down with your mom and want to hear her stories and the struggles that she has gone through as a woman back in her days or in her times, you will realize that they also were victims of emotional damage from their own mothers. And it wasn't that they were not loved by their mothers, but they didn't know better on how to care for a wound, for an emotional wound. As much as we care for a physical wound, I mean, once I get a cut from here right now, I have to clean this area. I have to take out the dirty blood so that I can see fresh blood coming out. That shows that there is no infection. There is no sign of infection. But the moment I get a cut and I continue as though I did not get a cut, that means this cut will have a potential of ruining everything that is good about my health, because I can get infection which can develop into septicemia. I can bleed to death. I can lose my life just from not taking care of this single cut. So it's the same as emotional trauma. We need to acknowledge that we've sustained trauma, that we've sustained a cut in our emotions, and actually look at how deep the wound is and take care of that wound and face whatever that has caused that emotional trauma to you. I was so heartbroken a couple of days, months, weeks, years ago when a child of mine came and was telling me how exhausted she is from being emotionally abused and physically abused by her mother. And she kept on saying to me, the most painful thing is when my mom compares me to my dad, to my late dad that I don't even know, that I never even got an opportunity to meet. Every time she says I'm like my father, every time she says the word my father, it's more painful than any other thing that she has ever said to me. It's more painful to me than any other thing she has thrown at me while she was physically abusing me. And it hit home that as black moms, as black women, we have sustained emotional trauma, we have sustained emotional injuries, and each and every single time as black women we come out of situations and we survived that, it doesn't necessarily mean we survived. Just because you put a bandage over something and you do not open to look at the wound if it's healing properly, and you do not clean it, you do not dress it, just because you put a bandage over something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's healing. And that's one thing I've realized about us as black women. I think most of the times, instead of facing our emotional traumas, facing our wounds, we do not do that. We put a bandage over it, and we always coming out like, oh, I'm so strong. Oh my God, that light, I don't know if you guys enjoy it, but we always come out like, oh, I've just conquered that, I'm so strong, I came out of this. It doesn't necessarily mean you came out of it if you just put a bandage over it. And this video is simply to say to black women, let's refrain from putting bandages over our lives, over our emotional wounds. It's okay to be emotionally wounded. It's okay to sustain injuries, just as it's okay to accidentally sustain a cut here. But the most important thing is taking care of the wound and making sure that it heals. It heals in totality. Sometimes healing doesn't always mean the scar needs to be gone. Even if the scar is there, once you've healed, even if the scar is there, the most important thing is that you do not feel the pain about healing. Healing means having the scar but not feeling the pain. But if you are going to constantly look at your scars and still feel the pain, then it means you haven't healed. If every time you look at your child and he or she always reminds you of the bad things that their father did to you, that means you haven't completely healed. It simply means you've put a bandage around your wound, and it's simply eating you inside. It means you need to unbandage that wound and take care of that emotional trauma that you've experienced. If it means you need to sit down with the perpetrator, with the person that did that to you, and explain to them what it means or what it feels like to stay with an emotional trauma, then you definitely have to do that for the sake of the people that are around us. Because if we do not heal, we become weapons to the people that are around us. They sustain second-degree injuries from our own heads. I was explaining to the child that if I break a glass right now and I try to pick it up, chances of this glass cutting me are there. While I try to pick it up or try to put it together again, chances of this glass hurting me are there. So when we are broken, we are no good use to the people that are around us. We are just potential harm inflictors to them. I would like to encourage each and every single person that has sustained any type of emotional hurt, any type of emotional injury from anyone they trusted or anyone they didn't trust at all. I would like to encourage you to revisit your scars and to revisit your wounds and ask yourself and assess them. Ask yourself if you have completely healed. Face them, and when you feel pain, while you face them, when you feel pain, know that you haven't completely healed. Like I've said, if I sustain an injury now and I heal completely, it means even when I look at that scar, when I touch that scar, I am not going to feel pain. But if I am not healed completely, it means when I touch that scar, when I look at that scar, I will feel the pain. So if there is anything that is attached to an event that has caused you emotional trauma or emotional injury, if there is anything that is attached to it, I want you to look at that thing currently, be it it's your child, be it it's your mom, be it it's your dad, be it it's your boyfriend, be it it's anyone. I want you to look at that particular thing that is attached to that event which caused you an emotional trauma. I want you to look at it, and if it still brings you pain, just know that you haven't healed and you deserve healing. Healing is not only good for yourself, but also for the people around you. But most importantly, do it for yourself, because the wound that is not taken care of is a wound that is capable of killing you emotionally, killing the good traits about yourself, killing the things that you truly love about yourself. And it might even drive you to the deepest, darkest forest of depression. It might even make you feel useless. It might even make you feel like you are not good enough anymore, like you are not the innocent self that you were prior the incidents of emotional trauma. I want us to find healing as the Black community, in fact not only the Black community but as human beings at large, because some of us, we are moving around this earth and we are broken, and each and every single person that comes in contact with us sustains injuries from us, not that we want them to, but because of our nature, the nature of brokenness. So I want us to find healing, and during this time of pandemic, I just want to send love and light to families, love and light to the broken souls, love and light to the people that are sustaining injuries from the broken souls. And I hope you do find your healing. Yeah, that's all that I have to say on today's video, and I hope you did enjoy it. And if you would like to share it with anyone that you think will find this informative, please do. Hit subscribe if you are new here, and yeah, comment down below. Let me know what you have learned from being a victim of emotional trauma, and also what you have learned from being close to someone who has been a victim of emotional trauma. Let's also share coping mechanism down on the comment section down below. And if you like to talk to me privately, you can find me on my social media platforms. Just watch the video until the end and you will get my handles there. I'll see you guys on my next video.